What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take, NFL DFS Wise Stream, CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I, of course, am joined by the GOAT, the true OG, also known as Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, what's happening? Nothing, man. Just, coming off of week one. I always seem to not fare so well in week one. We were just discussing, and I know it didn't go great for you either, but it certainly sounds like it went better for you than it did for me, because I got smashed. But one thing, common denominator, Raheem Mostert, right? Common denominator for us both. That rat bastard.
And then that late breaking news just pushed me over the top and, ended up being the death blow. I mean, like I said, I ended up only losing $100. One of my 5 teams did kind of go off, which saved my day. But Mostert was on that team. If I had a running back who, did anything, that would have been a lot better. And the Packers really surprised me. That kind of hurt me. I pieces of them all over, and they were awful as well.
It's funny. I came off that game a little more as the week went on. I think I had one Rodgers stack, but I came off at the beginning of the week. I was ready to go heavy, but I thought it would be the other way around. I was concerned the Saints weren't gonna keep up.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Too. So fun.
And lo and behold,
Jameis,
man.
5 TVs.
Hey, if he's gonna do it, then he's gonna do it big. Then he threw 20 passes.
Yeah, none to Marcus Callaway.
No, just Troll City. That was a big one, man. A lot of the chalk, at least the chalk value anyway, crashed and burned, right? Elijah Moore, a lot of the heavy owned shit kind of crashed.
Some of it did. Some of it did good though. Like Jones from
Marvin Jones. Yeah, that's
fine.
True.
The Philadelphia rookie did fine.
Smith, right? Devonta Smith.
Yeah, Devonta Smith. He did pretty well. You were on Jamar Chase. I was completely against after I heard his I'm not seeing the stripes on the excuse. I was like, oh, that's not good. But he ended up having a good day. So some of it did well, some of it didn't.
Right, yeah. And that's really what it is every week. You see so many people when they come to DFS, they get so caught up. And don't get me wrong, you want to get different. That's the way you get to top in tournaments. You want to play contrarian plays. But people get so consumed with that, they're looking for 1%ers at every position. You know what I mean? And it's there's going to be some chalk that comes through. It's just a matter of deciphering. That's really the skill, is deciphering what's the good chalk and what's the bad chalk. If you can do that, you got an edge. You got a fucking serious edge, because like you said, it's not like Elijah Moore and these guys were 50% owned. Because there's options. People went elsewhere. I think Joe did well. Game City, Cash Game Joe. Joe couldn't join us this week. He'll be back at it next week. Had some late dinner plans, and he didn't want to hold us up at his midnight on the East Coast, doing dirty style. That being said, we're going to try to change the format of the show a little bit. I had thought about this after we did the last show. If we like it, we get a feedback from you guys. Leave us some comments with your feedback. If you like it, we'll continue to do it when Joe comes back. If not, we'll go back to old style. It's whatever. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to build a team. I like to call it a tournament team. When Joe comes back, I'm sure we can get some cash thoughts or negotiate. But me and Paulie are more tournament people. So we're going to do 2 tournament teams. One on DraftKings, which is primarily what me and Paulie play. One on FanDuel, where sometimes we play. We go on these fits, so we start playing a little FanDuel action when we think it's a little soft and weak. And basically, when we're doing well on DraftKings, we can afford to play on FanDuel. Or if we're angry at DraftKings because they pissed us off, and we're like, man, fuck you, I'm going to FanDuel for a week. I'll be back. Live. But the Prince in the chat, what's going on, bro? But yeah, so anyway. We're gonna do that. We're gonna start with DraftKings, just kind of get us in the rhythm, since we do play DraftKings more. So we're gonna build a team. Again, we're calling it a tournament team. We just want to build one. As of right now, it's early. It's Thursday morning, I guess Wednesday night, whatever it is for you. But let's get it started, man. So we're gonna start off with quarterbacks, obviously. Right? The first thing we gotta do is establish our stack, and we got a lot of interesting games, man. Houston, very big surprise. Went out there and did dirties, thugged out. Jacksonville defense was chalk, and like I don't think that'll ever happen again. I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars defense will ever be chalk ever again. We've got a matchup with Dallas and the Chargers, right? One of the later games. Tennessee looked awful, completely awful against Arizona's terrible defense, and they were at home. Now they got to go into Seattle. We'll see if they bounce back. A lot of interesting ones, man. That's just a few.
Yeah, man. This is a loaded up slate. Like I think we're gonna see a lot of high scoring back and forth games. You know, difficult to pick the quarterback, and like you really have to know what you want to do with the rest of the slate to really make this decision. Like I don't really love the high end running backs, so like I kind of feel like we could spend a little bit more with our stack, but there's a couple cheapies that like stacks that I really, really like this week. But for argument's sake or whatever sake, let's throw Russell Wilson in there. I think the Tennessee secondary is going to get torched all season long, and I like the pace up style that Russ and the Seahawks played last week.
I'm cool with the Wilson. There's a lot of different ways we could have gone. I agree. We talked about some of the games I do like. I really like that Prescott Herbert matchup, Delio. There's a lot, but this one's hard to argue. I know Joe was in the Slack talking about he was already pimping out Russell Wilson against Tennessee. He was already pimping it out in the Slack. So I would assume that our Cash Game article is gonna have this dude somewhere all over that shit. So I'm good. I'm good with going with Wilson. The biggest question now, obviously, we're gonna use somebody to stack him with. But the biggest question after we do that, and I think, obviously, should we just say Metcalf? Should we just put him in there for now? Because it's just a matter of, like, do we include a second one and lock it, or do we just leave it with Metcalf? But we're going to go with Metcalf.
Right. Yep.
Now, we saw Kyler Murray did the dirty. Nuke did the dirty. The question is, are we going to use a bring back? In tournament lineups, we always like to use a bring back, right, for the game of shootout. But Tennessee, last week, that was the kryptonite. That was my kryptonite. But I'm with you. You follow the process, right? You look for Tannehill to bounce back. You look for that team to bounce back, right? Who's the bring back?
AJ Brown. Him and DK Metcalf played together. The rivalry there.
Oh, that's beautiful. Narrative action.
I got really no respect for the Seattle defense either, although they really got cooked up by Pascal on the slot. But, I think that's more to do about the weakness of the Colts offense pass game right now. And, for me, it's AJ Brown, but Julio Jones was fine. I kind of think Seattle leads, though. You know what I mean? So I'm all pass game. I don't think I put in Derrick Henry instead.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Like we were talking about it in the Slack also. Henry's still like he's still like they tried to make it work with Henry, but when you got Julio Jones, when you got AJ Brown, and your defense is horrendous, like that of the Titans, it's just hard. It's hard to really see him. Getting that opportunity. I will say this: so DraftKings did bring his price way down, 8,300. Derrick Henry, that is very, very low. We'll get into the running backs. 17 carries, 4 targets for Henry, which is pretty much where you had him, right? Like you had him somewhere around 20. Like that was kind of your issue with him. Is like you didn't think there was a shot he was going to get 30.
I think there's too many mouths to feed there. Like last year, their receivers were injured a lot, and he was like the only guy. Now they added another weapon. And I'm way down on Derrick Henry this year. I just don't think he's going to get the same type of volume, and I think they're going to be trailing more than they did last year.
Fair enough. We'll move over to running backs just to kind of get this conversation rolling. We got to fill 2 of these at least. Now, you mentioned you don't like the guys up top. To be honest, when I was going through my initial builds, I was right there with you. I really didn't really feel like I had to pay up here. But talk to me about the guys that did stand out to you.
So I've loved Nick Chubb. Houston's run defense was awful last year. I know, whatever, they looked all right against Jacksonville, but the Cleveland run game is legit. And I think Nick Chubb at home gets it going against Houston at 7-8. I like that price tag. Also like Austin Eckler right beneath him. I think those two, really this range. I think Joe Mixon, that volume, 29 carries, pass game. That's really enticing. He's probably underpriced. Maybe we see a James Robinson bounce back, but Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, those 3 guys I like a lot, but Chubb right now is my favorite of the 3.
Well, we'll start with Chubb and just see, like, we can come down to Eckler if we need the money or something.
Yeah.
The guy, first of all, I love Nick Chubb, no arguments there. I love Eckler because, again, I do love that game. But a guy that stood out to me, maybe that stood out to was with the rookie, Najee Harris.
Najee
Right?
Harris.
16 carries, 4 targets. So similar volume to what we saw from Derrick Henry. And that was against Buffalo on the road. This time they're at home against the Vegas Raiders, right? A defense that doesn't really scare anyone.
Right.
6'3" for him. I thought he kind of stood out to me based off price. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott's 6'2". That's the world we live in nowadays. But he was last week's chalk, did terrible. He's still going to be popular, don't get me wrong. It's not like people are going to completely bail. But I think a lot of people will bail. So some people are going to stay with him. Now this is the bounce back if, the usual thing. Bust chalk last week, lower ownership this week. Let's take it. But some people will bail. He should be higher owned than he probably will be, considering he's at home. I'm assuming he's a favorite in this matchup against the Raiders. But other than that, is there anybody else? Like, should we try to save a little bit of money? I'm cool with going mid tier. You want to go double Eckler, or what are you thinking?
I mean, I don't know how much we're going to end up having, but I do like Damian Harris against the Jets. I wanted to see your take on that. What you think down there? What do you think?
So I like Damian Harris. Before a lot, you and I were on the phone talking about Damian Harris, and he looked fine. He looked fine, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the
23 carries, 100 yards.
Right. This is a matchup that where the Jets definitely this is one of the weaker defenses that Patriots are probably going to see. I still don't love picking on the Jets' run D. I don't even really remember too well of what happened last week. It wasn't much. It didn't really show the game much. It was fucking McCaffrey, right? Even so, with the volume he had, that's Christian McCaffrey. That's like one of the elites.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
21 for 98. He averaged 4.7 yards a carry, and that was really it.
Yeah. It's tough. If we had a mediocre guy number one, and then McCaffrey did that, it's like, okay, we know what it is. But all we saw so far was one of the best running backs, one of the best players in the game, torch them.
Right.
Okay,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what's his price? For 5'4". Okay, I see him here.
Yeah. 5'4". So we'll see what we got money wise. Otherwise, I'm really cool with those guys in that mid tier. No problem.
We'll work backwards a little bit with the second running back slot. Let's get a defense out the way. Now we can always downgrade if we need to. I'm thinking. I know neither of us like spending up on defense. So is there a mid ground type? You know what I mean?
I gotta be honest. It's the first time I'm looking at.
Defenses. Nobody cares about defenses, man.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I think the Panthers at home against Jameis is kind of interesting. I know he threw 5 touchdowns, was hyper efficient, but you got to think Jameis is going to throw some picks. You know what I mean? Get them happy beats.
What about the Steelers, man? Listen, I know the Raiders, they went to Baltimore. I get it. They're across the country this time, though. And the Steelers, man, they look pretty good against Josh Allen. That's a good quarterback. At home, they were on the road. But just saying. I'm not,
I'm fine.
Let's start with that. And if we need some money, we know we can come down to the Panthers. I'm going to do dirties that way.
For sure.
So do you want to look for a value receiver? We need value. We're looking at 4,300 per spot here.
Well, let's talk about tight end.
Perfect.
What are we doing over there? I got a guy that I'm kind of in love with. I don't see really changing much.
Is he cheap?
What are you looking? No,
he's expensive. Okay. So I did look at some of these cheap options. Really not a ton that stood out to me that I was crazy about. I did think that it's scary, but there was, I promise you I'm not homering, I just fell on this. Tyler Kroft and Ryan Griffin, if we really wanted to punt, if we're talking punt city. Kroft had 5 targets, and Griffin, I think, had 6 targets. I'm going to check right now. 6 targets. We're talking about, that's a lot of targets for a tight end. It makes sense. Rookie quarterback, West Coast offense. We saw what Belichick did to Sam Darnold when he played him. 0 blitz every play. It was just blah. So that worries me a little bit. I could see the Jets trying to counter that by having more blocking tight ends in there and just having him give out, a hot route to Elijah Moore or something like that. So I'm a little nervous about that. But as far as super cheap, those were a couple guys that caught my attention. A lot of the other shit just didn't work out the way we thought it would. Conklin was another one that was popular, and it just didn't really work out the way people were hoping. I didn't play him. I know you didn't play him either, but it wasn't terrible. 4 for 4, right?
Yeah, he was.
But I don't think he dominated the snaps as much as people thought.
No, I mean, I had Kelsey, who like I wish I played more of, wish I stuck to my initial thought, but like as the week progressed, you just didn't have the money for him, and Kyle Pitts emerged. I wish I didn't play as much because I knew he was going to be so popular, and we never saw him do anything. I felt like that was a fish move on my part, just jumping on that bandwagon on too many of my teams. And Hawkinson, I did come on too late in terms of like talking. Like I had four tight ends in mind. Right, it was Kelsey, Hawkinson, uh, what do you call it? Pitts, and I forget who the fourth one was, but yeah, I was only gonna look at four. Hawkinson was one. I just didn't play him, but yeah. What do you think about Kyle Pitts?
I mean, I love it. I played Kyle Pitts a lot last week. He didn't do very well. But that's like me from baseball, like every sport. I love going to that guy that was really popular in a good spot, didn't perform, and then he's in another good spot,
Yeah.
and everybody bails. Like I love being Kyle Pitts. I mean, as far as like snaps, volume, like the how many rounds, it was
there.
all there,
Yeah.
right? Like it was unexpected the way it went down. But that's how football is.
Yeah.
Perception is everything. And now nobody's gonna play any Atlanta players because they got their ass kicked by Philly. But you'd be surprised, man.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised,
And the Cowboys, I think they completed like 10 passes to tight ends against
Right.
Tampa. They should be losing. They should be forced to throw a
Yeah.
lot. Like I do, but that's not the guy that I really like. I really like George Kittle against
Yeah.
Philly. San Fran, lost their starter running back Mostert. You really can't run against Philly anyway. Going to be forced to pass. Philly's got a decent pass rush. Like I think we see Kittle kind of go ham.
I can see it. I could definitely see it. Pass funnel defense in Philly, right? Very good against the run. Like you said, Moster's also out. The only concern I have in terms of here's the issue that we have. Like the quarterback, Russell Wilson, like he's not necessarily my favorite right now of all the quarterbacks, but the price range is similar, right? I'm not saving a whole ton of money. So my only issue is I like a lot of these mid to high price receivers from these different games. And we're already at 4,300 per, so I'm nervous that I'm not going to have the money to be able to afford one of those tight ends. That's my biggest issue because I haven't seen a whole lot of value that I'm that into. I have one punt guy also, I forgot to mention, who was in most of my dummy teams as of now, though. And
At tight end.
At tight end.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there really wasn't a lot of receiver value that I was into. But I believe it was Jack O'Shaughnessy. I think it was him. Yeah, okay. So this was against Houston, right? Only put up a 10. He's 2,700, though. He had 8 targets, and he caught 6 of them. Again, rookie quarterback. We know how that goes. Rookie quarterbacks like to lean on their tight ends. You know what I mean? Makes sense. But as a potential punt, in order for us to get, unless you got some value plays in the back pocket at either receiver or whatever the case is, 2,700, 8 targets.
I mean,
it's not pretty.
I do. I mean, if we got to come off with the stack, I got value stacks for days. But
well, I guess it's priority, right? Would you rather pay up for these type of receiver? Because it's not even about like let's not switch this to Dak Prescott and Herbert because you're gonna be in the same situation.
Same thing.
You know what I mean?
But who I was impressed with though, who's 4-1 at tight end is Tyler Higbee. I got to look deeper into it. What do the Colts do against tight ends? But Matty Staff, he looked at him 6 times, 5 of 68. That offense is legit. I don't mind him at 4-1. What's Noah Fant? He's 4-2 against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
What was his?
He also got 8
targets.
targets
Against the Giants. Yeah, he's
right.
legit. He's
but
4-2.
Again, these guys, we're talking about the guys with the same volume, same scores as that O'Shaughnessy fella. But that dude is 2,700. So it's like opportunity cost. Is he going to allow us to get someone better? So what?
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's plug him in, and if we can upgrade, we'll upgrade. Because it's not like, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm loving.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't love that. Like, this is not lovable. You know what I mean?
So we got what? A receiver and a running back spot?
We got a running back, a flex. Let me just get this dude in here. And a receiver, right. So then, like, from there, we can kind of make upgrades. But we're looking at 48.33 per player. So we still need a value option. I'm thinking receiver because the value running, because I'm with you on the mid-tier running backs. But we might need 2 of those receivers in order to get us one of those running backs. What option are you thinking for receiver?
Receiver. Okay, let's see. So I just want to confirm before I say this, but like the end of that Raiders game, I really like Brian
Mm.
Edwards. Like I didn't see that whole game, but he's clearly was the guy when they were down. 5 targets, 4 catches, 81. He's 3-7. You've got uh the guy that I really like, tell me what you think about this. He is, I believe he's 4-5. He had a suspension week 1. He's making his debut for the Dolphins. He's a home run hitter. He's 4-8. Will Fuller against Buffalo.
That is really cheap for a guy with that upside. The only problem, man, is Tua is the one throwing the ball. That's the only thing that makes me nervous. But yeah, plenty of upside. You got a lot of upside. Still got speed.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hate on it. It's definitely a tournament play. Like I wouldn't trust it in cash simply because we haven't seen it. And it is Buffalo's defense. It's not like it's a slashy defense, but for a tournament call, low ownership, you're talking about guys with upside. You look at the guys he's priced around. Nelson Aguilar, Russell Gage.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Aguilar.
let's.
You know what? I want to take a look at the Saints' actual numbers. Like maybe we go back to Marquez Callaway, who nobody's
He's
gonna
42.
play.
Yeah. You know what? Not for nothing, but if what do you call it? If Crowder and Keelan Cole are both out, you could also consider going back to Moore. This is a situation where he had a terrible first game. Elijah Moore, he had a terrible first game, but again, I'm expecting Brady to just blitz all day. So I'm expecting the tight ends to have to block. I'm expecting hot reads all day.
Yep. I do think Crowder's back. I just read that today
if Crowder's back, then you can't. It's just a wash. Yeah,
and we're off that. Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, if Crowder's 4,500, that's a whole different conversation. But for the meantime, Marquez Callaway 4,200. Back to him against Carolina. Now, one thing I will say, it's hard to say. Like he did get 2 targets, Marquez Callaway. The issue was his team didn't have to do shit. Jameis threw the ball 20 times. That's it.
Yep.
So, what would have happened if the game shot out like it's supposed to? And I mean, I'm not expecting Carolina to be some juggernaut, but I expect this to be a better game than we saw against Green Bay. I mean, it seemed like Green Bay just shit the bed. I don't hate that, man. I really don't.
Yeah. You got Rondale Moore at 4K against Minnesota. I think that game's got big time shootout potential. He got 5 targets, caught 4 of them, 68 yards. This is a guy that's gonna have designed screens, like reverses too. His highlight film is really, really impressive. I like him in that offense a lot. I don't mind that. Zach Pascal caught 2 touchdowns. He's 4-4. I don't want to do that. Oh, Van Jefferson, right? He's the second-year receiver for the Rams too. I mean, they do have a lot of mouths to feed over there. 3 targets. No, scratch that.
Okay. We'll go ahead and pick one in a second. But I will say I did come across Twitter. I believe I came across it through Adam Levitan's feed or whatever. Or his shit came up on my feed. Supposedly, Teddy Bridgewater had requested KJ Hamler's locker get moved next to his, man.
KJ Hamler's got some burners.
He's got burners. 3,800 against Jacksonville, who just got lit up by Tyrod Taylor, right? And a team that nobody expected to win a game. The team everybody's saying is tanking.
Targets.
You know what I mean?
Let's take a quick look at that little nifty snap tool. Pull up the Bronx. I'm just curious because they got 3 dudes there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you got Sutton, you got and Tim Patrick, who really missed most of the preseason. So let's take a look at the snaps right quick.
Okay.
So, target market share, you got Hamler at 11%, 4th overall, but the snaps really
pretty low, right? Was that 36% of the snaps he played?
Is that what you're seeing? I didn't get to it.
I'm looking at snap rate.
Yeah, snaps. Yeah. Oh, all right, here we go. Yeah, 24% snap. He had 24
snaps, right? And compare that to Sutton, who had 53.
Yeah, Tim Patrick, who had 46, Jerry Jeudy had 31. It's a little on the low side for.
It's low. It's definitely low. One other guy, maybe was it Osborne? I feel like I think it was Minnesota. Yeah, okay. Wait, more got Cos Campbell in the chat. Third receiver for Minnesota. That's the guy I was thinking of. Here he is, KJ Osborne. He got 9 targets against Cincinnati.
67 snaps. He's clearly the number 3 guy.
Like, what the hell was that? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell was that? 3,300.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cos Campbell, man. I mean, I couldn't think of the guy. I knew he was on Minnesota, but I couldn't remember his name. But then I saw third receiver for Minnesota had like 8 targets. Yeah. That was him.
20% of the pass game market share, tied with Jefferson and just beneath Thielen. They're on the road, right? Going into Arizona.
It's definitely chasey. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's definitely like we're chasing like a motherfucker. But hey, it can help us get what we need.
Those are legit numbers. Where like Hamler looked at numbers. It's like no, this ain't it. But he's clearly the number 3 receiver in this offense, and they're already on their backup tight end, who only had 8% of the target market share. Like. 3-2, like
and they're playing a good offense, right? D Hop and Murray on the other side. Like, I like it. Should we fuck it?
Yeah, let's go with that. We need the value. Why not?
Let's go. Let's fuck. All right, 5,600 on average. We have a running back and a flex. Now we're rolling here. Now we're rolling. Do we do running back first, or just a receiver in the flex you want to throw in and see what we're left with? What you want to do?
Well, let's fill out that other running back, and then we'll see what we got left. All right.
What are you thinking?
We always got Damian Harris at 5'4", but like let's talk about some of these even cheaper guys like Chase Edmonds, 4'9", another Arizona Minnesota game. That little correlation play with our Osborne guy. How did Mike Davis? It's against Tampa. Never mind.
I mean,
no, not against.
No, I'm not talking about him. I was actually going to talk about Leonard Fournette, but that's scary too. I mean, he got 7 targets from Brady, and I think Ronald Jones fumbled, so he could still be in a doghouse, but it's still a little scary, man. He had 9 carries and 32 yards. Just when it comes to running, actually running the ball, he just don't got it no more. I don't know. I mean, he's fine. I'm not saying we can't play him ever, but for this team, I don't know if I'm feeling it just yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think I'd rather play Damian.
Yeah. At that point, you're so close. You're not saving enough. You might as well play Damian Harris.
Yeah. So if you put Damian Harris in there, what does that leave us with?
Let's do it. Damian Harris. There you are, 5'4". That would leave us with what should be like 5'8", right? Yeah, 5'8" in the flex. We've got like Kareem Hunt, Robbie Anderson, Darrell Henderson Jr., Robert Woods, et cetera, et cetera.
Monte Smith.
So, like, if we were at this tier,
we need a little bit more money to get up to like $7K ish.
Now, if we got up to $7K ish, are you looking for anyone in particular, running back, receiver, anything like that?
Well, I think I'd want to get exposure to the Chargers-Dallas game, so I'm content with CeeDee Lamb at 6'4". I think we both like Austin Eckler at 7'3". What's his name? Amari Cooper is 6'8". Right. So, like, I like the idea of getting exposure just to that game.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, we kind of skipped over one of the obvious questions that I think people are going to have. And you and I may not have the answer, right? But 49ers, we know what's his name is hurt. I think a lot of people are anticipating because of what he did. What's his name? The 49ers.
Eli Mitchell.
Right. Now, remember, Trey Sermon was out that game. And they have other running backs. But I think he's probably the chase this week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that they're playing Philly, man. I just don't like taking.
Right, no, I don't either. I don't either. But if we were somewhere in that price range, we're at least I think coming close to some of those guys. We might not be there. Might have to come off the defense and go down to the Panthers at 2,700, like he was talking about, and kind of pinch
Mhm.
But I think that price range, if we were able to save, would get it. Matter of fact, I mean that's only $300. That's like 6-1. That's still not enough. I don't know. Do we come off Chubb to one of those cheaper guys? What are you thinking? I don't really want to come off Chubb, but
who's our so we got Russ, DK,
AJ Brown, Osborne, O'Shaughnessy. Those are our value plays.
Mhm.
Or
And how much money do we have? Like, there's no like punt defense.
I mean, I'm sure we can find something here. Let's look. We already talked about the Panthers, but I would only give us a couple. There's the Jets, Jaguars, the Eagles. It's pretty ugly. It's rough. The only one.
Houston at Cleveland.
I mean, shit, right? Like, shit.
3 picks and 1 sack.
We could do it for shits and giggles. That was against the rookie, obviously.
Or how about the Eagles for 2,400 against San Fran, but no starting running back?
I could see it just because, like you said, like they run.
They're traveling across the country.
That's what they do. They run. Now, here's the interesting thing that you might like, actually. So that'll leave us with 6,400, right? So we could obviously use CD Lamb, like you mentioned. We're already in the clear. There's Najee Harris, one of the guys I liked. We're in the
right.
Or we can get real crazy, go double tight end, and throw some George Kittle up in that ass. You know what I mean? Now, it is going against our defense.
Or we could double stack up our original stack and go Julio.
Oh, shit. Is Julio there? Oh, man.
Yeah,
double up the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But that works. That works for me overall. You good with that? Like that's
how I'm good with it.
Real quick, I just want to mess around with this one quick stack. All right. So just clear this out and go Tua.
Okay.
All right. Give me Stephon Diggs.
Some Tua.
Give me Tua, Stephon Diggs, Will Fuller, and Jalen Waddell.
Just give me a sec. Computer's going slow as hell.
Like the Bills have played the Dolphins so many times in the last 3-4 years, and the Bills have like scored a minimum of 31 points in every game, and the Dolphins have actually put up points back against the Bills almost every time.
Right.
Like, I'm expecting this game to shoot out. I love this cheap little Tua +2.
Oh, got it now.
You could even go Gesicki at 4K, who did nothing last weekend, but he's actually had pretty good history against the Bills. Right. I really like this as a cheap startup with the Will Fuller, going to be like 1% home run hitter.
Well, it's going to be a lot easier to get in like Kittle at tight end and,
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it still leaves you within range of those running backs. Like you'd have to do a little something, suck a little something strange, but it's not like we haven't done it before.
Mm-hmm. That's something I'm really like. I'm going to have a team like that,
Get different. Yeah, get different. I mean, people are going to like. The thing that's interesting is so last week stars and scrubs you kind of needed to get there, right? The running backs you had to pay up to get somebody because the rest of their field sucked. Like there's so many of them suck. I mean, you got Mixon and some of these guys that pop, but like the popular guys. So this week, I would think like that's really what it comes down to in terms of ownership, right? Are people trying to pay up for those running backs again? Because if they are, then we don't need it, right? We'll come down, find something in the mid tier. But anyway.
Yeah,
I'm with it. Let's move on to FanDuel. You good to move on to FanDuel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I haven't looked at FanDuel at all.
Either.
So it's going to be like holy first look. But I like breaking down the slates on a first look like this anyway. I think it's like a good exercise for prepping for football. And it's only Wednesday. We're still so far
Stimulates the brain.
Stimulates
yes, it does. All right. Are we doing a different stack? Start with Russ again? What do you think?
Yeah. No, let's do completely change that. Let's take a look at some of these prices.
Herbie 7.6, Stafford 7.5. These guys are cheap considering like who was more expensive than them. Like like I said that's so fucking weird, like a douche. I couldn't talk. Or this is like I had to freaking do the card show earlier, the ripping the card thing. And so like I'm doing the cards and I'm trying to be like, what do I bring to the table? Like, like most of the other guys that do it, they know about cards, but they don't really know about the players that much. I know about the players. So I come in there. I'm giving everybody these stats. I'm talking, making some interesting facts about some of the rookies. And this asshole in the chat, who's part of the break, mind you. So he's a client of this, comes in and he goes, yo, I'm never doing. Remind me to never do a break when this guy's doing it. And I'm like, why? He's like, you talk too much, bro. You talk too much. You talk. He said you talk about every player. I was like, this motherfucker. Yeah, I mean, the other people stepped in and was like, well, we like his insight and all this other stuff, but I was like, you salty motherfucker, man.
Yeah, you can't make everyone happy though. You know what I mean? It is
what it is. So then he had the nerve later on in the show. He was like, I told him, I was like, yo, listen, bro. My other job is talking about fantasy sports, bro. I talk, man. Literally a sports talk show. So then, like, later on, he goes, "Oh, so you cover DraftKings?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Could you give me some advice for DraftKings?" I was like, "Yo, for you, my friend, you can go to wisetake.com, my friend. Get yourself a little membership, $19.99 a month, and maybe I'll talk to you then, my dude." And that's how we left that. Yeah, probably not though. Anyway, back to quarterback on FanDuel. What are you thinking, Paulie?
Yeah. So. I honestly, I don't really like this, but I'm gonna throw this at you, see what you think. Like Atlanta on the road against Tampa. Tampa should be in control. Atlanta should be forced to throw a million times. We saw Dallas past game really move the ball against Tampa Bay. Like, is this a Matt Ryan throw 50 times? He's 6'7". He's cheaper than Tyrod Taylor.
It's like it's hard to see Brady not doing well. And it's hard to say. I just don't see Atlanta getting smoked like that 2 games in a row. Now, if this game is in Atlanta, I would feel a little bit better about it. But they were in Atlanta against Philly, still got smoked. I don't hate it, man. 6-7 is really cheap. I mean, we can start with that and see what it allows us to get. FanDuel, we're obviously hunting touchdowns. But, I mean, Ridley, man, right? Like, that's the touchdown king right there. I mean...
Yeah, Ridley and tight end.
Yeah. Now, Pitts I like more on. Obviously, I'm gonna like more on DraftKings because of the PPR. But this sets up on FanDuel price wise. It kind of sets you up for a phenomenal little triple stack there, man. Atlanta did look bad. Kaz Campbell said Atlanta online looks so bad. They did look bad. But we are talking about it's Matt Ryan. Gotta give him a little bit of credit. It's not like he's some rookie, right? Calvin Ridley is a stud. Kyle Pitts, everything lined up for Kyle Pitts. Should we start off with the Ryan Ridley Pitts and take it from there? See if we can fit it?
And then who we bring it back
that's
from?
That's the fucking question, right?
Bucks,
like that's the fucking question.
Like, is this Mike Evans rebound week, or do you just stay with old faithful Chris Godwin? 14 targets, 9 catches. The guy's a stud.
I mean, didn't AB even have everybody had a good game that day?
Yeah, AB had 5 catches for $121. So he was
just efficient as hell. Okay.
Yeah.
7 targets. I'm good. I guess Godwin, for the sake of this example, just because of the consistency.
Okay.
I mean, he's 8K. Shit, that's expensive.
Ooh.
6-7, bro. We gotta go Evans then, right? Like.
Yeah, and this is a touchdown more centric site, and that's
what he does. That's what he does.
With that low ownership.
That is true. Mike Gray, David Montgomery, way too cheap. Automatic 100 yards, 3 to 4 catches. That's a guy we could have talked about in the DraftKings segment a little bit, right? They're playing Cincinnati, right?
Who's that?
David Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Yeah. Just because of volume. Like DraftKings is a volume site. FanDuel is a touchdown site. So for the sake of volume, he does get the volume. Not a ton of pass work, but he does get the volume. I think he had 34 catches. He did.
The Bengals held Dalvin Cook to 3 yards a carry on 20 carries.
They did. That is true.
So just saying. But Montgomery, like Minnesota can really just resort to the pass. They were trailing in that game. Like, I'm with that, totally. But I do agree. I think that's more of a FanDuel thing.
DraftKings thing.
Thanks for sure. Austin Eckler's cheaper than Montgomery.
Get the fuck out of here. Now again, Eckler is definitely like more of a DraftKings player, right? But this game, people are scoring touchdowns in this game.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's going down. So I think we didn't get Eckler in the last one. I think we pop Eckler in this one. What do you think? You cool with that?
Pop. Let's go.
Pop. All right. So now we got a running back, receiver, flex, and defense. Let's get the defense out the way. Just blow, just like that. Let's take a look at this pricing. Shit is getting funky. So funky.
The Panthers is cheap again. Jacksonville, no. Vikings against Arizona. Bills against no. Chart, no. Oh my.
Yeah, it's rough, man. They're on their shit.
Carolina against Jameis at home, though.
I'll bet you.
Jameis gonna throw pick six.
I tell you what, though, I'll bet you the Bills end up chalky. I don't want to use the Bills as an example, but that makes me lean more towards your Tua take. Because the Bills were the Bills, one of the better offenses in the league against Miami, an offense that has struggled with Tua, and 3,700. Like everybody's gonna be on that shit. Everybody's. Yep. We will go with Carolina for this example, 3,800, nice little average price. Was just for the example. We don't give a fuck about defense right now. So running back, receiver, flex. We've got 75, 33 available, which is not bad at all, man. FanDuel's soft as hell with pricing.
That's nice. I mean, you can get whatever you want. DeAndre Hopkins at receiver if you wanted it. So running back. Let's talk about pricey running backs. Do you want to just throw Nick Chubb in at 8-4 once again?
Let's start at the top. Work our way down, man. Who doesn't like a good Chubb? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Let's keep it rolling. 7-1. We got receiver and flex. This shouldn't be too difficult. I mean, Mike Evans was 6-7. We gotta be able to find something good.
Yeah. Give me CeeDee Lamb. I want pieces of that game. We got the correlation with Eckler.
I like it. Look, double correlation. We got a game stack of the Atlanta Tampa. We also got a little mini stack action of this. I like it. I'm typing on the wrong keyboard trying to find Lamb. I'm typing on my laptop keyboard, wondering my computer's not doing nothing. There he is, 6-8. Let's go. And then let's see what we're left with in the flex. 7,400 in the flex.
David Montgomery.
Oh, if we really wanted to go dirty, Keenan Allen, I think is 7,400. You could really go dirty. Like at that point, I kind of feel like we should have Herbert worked in there because Eckler, the passing touchdowns, but still
too much. Yeah, dirty
indeed. Justin Jefferson's out here. Tyler Lockett. I'm looking at receivers only. I gotta click on flex. I'm wondering. I'm like, man, these are all receivers. That's why.
Yep. Jonathan Taylor's there. But I'm not playing them against the Rams. That D is so good, so good. But David Montgomery, for the people.
You could do it for the people. You could do it for the people.
Yeah.
All right, fuck it. We'll do it for the people. Listen, if this was my squad, I would probably just be stubborn and play Keenan because I love that game. To be clear, I love that game. Spoiler alert, my article comes up. I love that game. Of course. Of course.
I think we're going to be targeting Dallas all season. Right? If Dallas is on
all season.
We want
all day.
Game. Their defense
all day. Bad. Like dicks. Cos Campbell, can you go back to Henry? We talked about Henry earlier. I don't think either of us really love it, man. DraftKings is where I would do it because he's cheap. He's like 8,300. Normally, I like him. Normally, I'm more like Henry on FanDuel because of the touchdown thing. But you certainly could. I'm not saying you can't by any means. You got to go back to Tennessee somewhere. Their whole shit look fucked up. But you got to go back to them somewhere because they're like the Cowboys, right? Typically a good offense that keeps up, but a terrible defense that gives up a lot of points. So going back to Tennessee in general is not bad. Henry, I don't know. Like Paulie said earlier, a lot of mouths to feed. Different look at the offense. You got Julio Jones. You didn't get him for nothing. I mean, you got him kind of for nothing, but you didn't get him for nothing, right? Like you traded really nothing away to get him, but you got him for a reason. You know what I mean?
Right.
Are there any? I haven't even looked at the lines really, but are there any best bets before we get out of here that you kind of like going into this?
Last week, man, the home dogs was just they ran away. Like the Bengals, everything that like the public was really heavy on. Like Tampa Bay on Monday night,
Packers.
Yeah, Packers. Yep. So let's see. I like the Jets at home against the Patriots. That line's moved up 6. Like, dude, I don't think the Patriots are. They just lost to the Dolphins at home. Not that the Jets are that great, but this should be a 3-point game.
Yeah.
Low scoring, nothing good happening. It's just, man, the Bills are only 3.5-point favorites. They're going to be so popular. Give me the Dolphins.
Man, I got 2 games that stand out, and it goes in theme and conjunction with a little bit what we talked about with DFS wise. But number 1, Tennessee, 5-point underdogs on the road. It's opened at 6. I would have jumped on 6. It's at 5 now. We're a little late to the party, but it's not going to be that easy, right? It can't be that easy.
Mhm.
As Tennessee's just terrible now. Like, no. I
Mhm.
mean,
No, they're
yeah,
very good.
yeah. I mean, I got the second one is another bounce back again, similar theme. Atlanta, man. Don't give me. It opened up at 13.5. Again, it's down to 12, so we lost some value. But still, I don't think Atlanta. I think they're gonna be. I don't think Atlanta's gonna be great, but I don't think they're gonna be that bad. And like you said, man, the Cowboys were able to keep up. Granted, I think the Cowboys is a good offense, but why not the Falcons? Like Ridley, Matt Ryan, like you got some players. I know their offensive line struggled, but division, right? This is division rivalry type shit, right? No, yeah.
Yep.
It is.
Let me ask you one more. All right. Tomorrow night we got the Redskins, who just lost Fitzmagic, taking on the Giants. Redskins open at 4.5. It's down to 3.5. The total open at 42, down to 40. What do you like on the spread? And then what kind of game you think this?
I think it's gonna be ugly. I know the Giants' defense is bad, but I don't think Heineke is. I mean, that's a big drop off to me. I haven't seen enough of Heineke, but I think Fitzpatrick is good.
Mm-hmm.
So with Heineke back there, man, I don't know. I don't really trust where Washington's going. They're gonna try to run the ball. At the same time, I think Washington's defense is phenomenal, and I think that their defense is gonna be what wins them this game. But if it's at 3.5, I'm honestly I'd probably take the Giants with the points, man. Give me the hook. If it was at 3, I'd probably go Redskins. But that half a point means so much to me right now. If I'm getting 3.5, I want that hook because I really think I could see Washington winning by 3 or 2 or some weird shit like that. What about you?
Yeah, to me, it's 50% either side could win this game. So you
take the points, right? Yeah.
No one would be shocked if the Giants won this game 20-19.
No, I think
it's gonna be ugly, low scoring.
And you would hear all the Giant haters. It'd be simple. It'd be, it was Heineke. I'm like, well, Vegas made him the favorite, man. Like, you know what I mean? But you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, Nation. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Didn't get to all the questions or the comments, but we're trying to look around all this stuff. But I appreciate you guys. I see Mike and Cass and Pat Bush. I saw you pop in there. I appreciate you. Please hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already. We'll be back at it next week. Don't forget to subscribe at wisesick.com. Paulie D does the GPP breakdown. I do a core plays article. Patio Joe on the cash games. That'll all be available this week for the main slate. Paulie, anything in closing before we get about here?
No, man, this was fun. This is a really first look for me on Wednesday, as we approach Sunday. So I kind of like this. We got to explore the slate, talk about ideas. This was cool.
Yeah, again, Nation, leave the comments. I want to hear your feedback. Yeah. Leave feedback in the comments.
Or back
feed, all that good shit.
Back
feed it through. But we definitely want to hear if you guys like the format. I like the format. I feel like it had more of a flow. We had more of a mission rather than just lift off plays. Like we had an actual mission. We're trying to build some squads. So I liked it. If you guys like it, we'll try it again with Joe next week. If not, we'll pretend it never happened. That being said, for Paulie D, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, and for Patio Joe, doing dirties with the family stuff as always. Good luck.
Yeah.